All right, Dan, I'll turn it over to you to kick us off. There's Dan still with us. Dan was with us and he is not in our attendees list. He must be having some technical difficulties. So I'll kick us off. Welcome to the October 8th International Fire Code Tag Meeting, where the main goal of today is to continue reviewing petitions received for our Group 1 codes. To be included in adoption processes for the 2024 code. Moving forward, since I don't see Dan back online, so I'll turn it back over to him. Dan, I just introduced the meeting, and I'll turn it over to you to lead us through.
Okay. Seems like I'm having some issues with my internet. It kicked me out. So if I get kicked out, I will jump right back in.
Gotcha. Thank you.
So, yeah. So it looks like we have a pretty good agenda today. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining. If you want to go ahead, Dustin, and do a roll call real quick.
Alrighty. Chair Primary Dan Young.
Present.
Thank you. Architect Primary Ning Wang. I'm not seeing them in the audience today. Architect Alternate Jacob Liddycoat.
Here.
Thank you. For the building official primary, Quinn Ty declined the meeting, and we're looking to see if the alternate Ray Shipman is here. I did see some communication that Ray was planning to attend. He may pop on a little bit later. At the moment, not in the audience. All right, for the fire official fire marshal primary, Ken Brulette.
Here.
Thank you. For cities and counties primary, Hugo Sotelo, we got a decline notification from him. For the home builder affordable housing developer primary, Mike Nykrom. I'm not seeing them in the audience here today. For the general contractor or developer primary, Bill Mybush, we got a decline notification from them. For manufacturer supplier primary, Ricky Campbell.
Present.
Thank you. For fire protection engineer primary, Walker Danucci.
Present.
Thank you. The alternate Dave Cocott declined. Fire sprinkler industry primary, Sean Morgan. Not seeing them in the room here today. The alternate Kevin Marr. Not seeing them here with us today either. For general public subject matter expert primary, Samir Okashi. Not seeing them in the audience. For the alternate, Seth Henderson.
Present.
Thank you. For fire alarm industry primary, David Mao.
Present.
Thank you. For the alternate, Zachary Tuck.
Present.
Thank you. And for the fire chief primary, Lance Dahl. Not seeing them in the audience today. So with that, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seats represented here today. We just barely have quorum. So if anybody has to leave, we will suffer lack of quorum, except for David and Zachary. We have primary and alternate there. So if one of you need to leave, we'd still be okay.
I just got in, Dustin. Sorry, having some computer issues.
Who is that? That's Lance.
Lance Dahl.
Gotcha. Thank you. So we're one above quorum with Lance being in attendance. All righty. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Dan. Is Dan with us again? Okay. Could I have the group potentially make a motion for if Dan's experiencing technical difficulties to appoint a chair pro tem while he's out? It may serve the group just to have me run the meeting in his absence, since the bulk of the agenda items I'll be presenting and kind of leading anyway.
That's still you serving as chair pro tem, Dustin?
Yeah, I mean, just a motion to elect me for
I'll
this.
make a motion for Dustin Kerb to serve as chair pro tem for this meeting.
I'll second. Yeah.
And a voice vote for all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any in opposition?
Hey, all right, Samir's here. That gives us another one.
All right, Samir, awesome.
You up.
Get in there. Okay, with that one, we're on to reviewing and approving the agenda just so far, or I guess before I move on to that, is there any members of the public here that wish to be recognized today? Please raise your hand and I'll just call you out. I got Patrick Hanks.
Yes, Patrick Hanks with the Building Industry Association of Washington here. Thank you.
And I see Elizabeth Torsky.
Yes, Elizabeth Torsky with Cascade Natural Gas. Thank you.
And I have Karsten Jonas.
Hello, I'm representing myself.
Okay. And Jamie Knowles.
Yeah, Jamie Knowles representing the FEMA, the Washington Fire Protection Association, for item 12 on the agenda.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public who would wish to be recognized?
Joshua Garcia here for Washington Fire Protection Association.
Thank you.
Hey, Dustin, this is Dan Young. I'm on the phone. My internet's gone out.
Okay, Dan, do you want me to just run as chair pro tem since you're having the difficulties today? Or you want to take the reins while you're able to get in?
No, go ahead and do that, and I'll just listen in.
Okay.
Because like I said, I'll try it here in a little bit, but it said low bandwidth and then kicked me out. So I don't know what's going on here.
Okay, understood. Thanks for calling in. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 2. We have before you the agenda on the screen. It is a 2-page document. And I guess notes I have from communications I received today, Dave Cocott, who is the drafter for item number 10, is not here. So we could potentially move that towards the back of the list here. He wasn't available for our next week's meeting either. We tried to push this one, but he had a personal item come up that prevents him from being here today. So
Dave works for me, Dustin. I'm aware of what he submitted and why.
Okay, then we'll keep it on. Is there any other issues with the order that we have going on here? I prefer to keep them in the order they are, so they're in book order. But we can move things around if there's some issues with proponents not being available here later as well. So I'm asking for the proponents of proposals, if you were notified, if you have some scheduling issue later on in the meeting, let me know and we can work around that. Ricky, I see your hand.
Yes, Dustin, I think it would be wise if we put Jamie's and my proposal together to seeing how we're addressing the same issue, just going about it a different way.
Gotcha. So I have Jamie as number 12 and Ricky, you are number 14 in there?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. And that's my bad. Those ones should be grouped together anyway. So let's run agenda item 13 before 12, and then we'll hear 12 and 14 kind of together as that needs to go. All right. Moving agenda item 13 prior to 12. Is there any other discussion? Ken, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I would like to know if there was anybody from the public that was going to speak on those 2 agenda items, or anything else that maybe we can bump those to the top of our agenda so they don't have to sit around and wait to say and testify. It's always nice to allow them to attend up front, and then if they want to leave, they can leave. So I'm just throwing that out there to the group.
I know James Knowles is here in support of his proposal from Amerex. Is there anybody else in attendance who was planning to speak on those items, and we can bump those to the top of the agenda and maybe get you some time back in your day?
I am here in support of James Knowles. I don't know if I need to speak on it, but I'm here with Mr. Knowles.
Okay. Well, we got a couple public attendees. Would it be in the benefit of the group to move items 13, I'm sorry, 12 and 14 to the top of the agenda?
Yeah, I also move that.
Walker, I'll second.
Okay. Could I get a voice vote to move agenda items 12 and 14 to the front of our agenda after item number 4, and everything else will be sequential after that?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition to that motion? Hearing none, that motion passes. We will begin with item number 12 and 14 and then run everything else in order. All right. At that point, I guess that is a vote to approve the agenda order as well. And that was Ken, you moved that one, and Walker, you were the second?
Yes, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Got the notes. All right. So for agenda item number 3, the minutes are not ready, so we'll be moving beyond that one, and we should have the meeting minutes for at least that one at our next meeting, and hopefully we can catch up and give you meeting minutes to be most current at the next meeting. That brings us to agenda item number 4. Public comment on items not on the agenda. If there's any member of the public here who wishes to speak on something that we don't have on our agenda today, please raise your hand and I'll call you in the order the hands are raised. All right, seeing no hands coming up, we'll move on to agenda item number 5, which is actually going to be agenda item number 12 and 14. We're going to be looking at proposal 24 GP1-072 and proposal 24 GP1-102. Just for clarity, Ricky, you submitted a revision to that proposal, so we'll be looking at that revision to the proposal instead of the original one that you have here.
Perfect.
And then have some comments letters that I'd like to read at an appropriate time for these proposals, and we can get kicking off. So with that one, 072, I'm going to get my share going and we'll begin in earnest. Okay, on the screen you should see the Word document for proposal 24 GP1072. This is Jamie Knowles from Amerex, and he's also representing FEMA, the Fire Equipment Manufacturers Association, NAFED, and ORFED as well. Jamie, if you wouldn't mind, introduce this one. I know the group's kind of familiar with the topic because we've had it in some earlier meetings for some other rulemaking, but this touches on the same one, and I'll let you introduce it, and then I'll hand it over to Ricky, and we'll go over that one and kind of talk about them together.
Understood. Yes. This is the licensing of alternative fire extinguishing systems technicians, and for both the 2021 code, and today we're talking about 2024 code. We have been adding a second exception to 904.1.1 that would allow for the ICC NAFED certification, which is the only certification in the country targeted at industrial dry chem systems. We are adding that exception number 2 to allow for that certification. It also matches exception number 1, which is for kitchen systems as well. And kitchen systems and industrial dry chem systems, as we have discussed, have the same controls. They're certified through the same manufacturers. It's the same discipline. So this proposal is adding exception number 2 for the ICC NAFED certification to be allowed for industrial dry chem systems in the state of Washington. So nothing's really changed from our other meetings. And the reason that we're going with this the way we are is because currently the state of Washington doesn't have a way to receive a work requirement at this point. So that's pretty much it. It's a summary. Does anyone have any questions about what we've discussed, or are we all clear on on what we've done here, or what we're doing here, sorry.
And I'll be sure to welcome other members of the public to speak if they have an opinion or input on these agenda items as we go through. All right, I see a hand, Ken Brulette.
So you know this question was coming, Jamie. So help me understand, because I know the State Building Code Council gave direction for everybody to meet and for the discussion to come up with work requirement. And all I heard back was Washington State doesn't have the ability to do that. But they're not, but NICET has it built into their certificate. But NAFED does not. So I'm just trying to figure out if NICET has a work requirement and NAFED does not, where does the Washington State not being able to have the ability to receive work requirements actually hold water, since NICET already has that built into theirs, and all we'd be looking for is somehow for NAFED to build something into theirs so we could use that. I mean, that's I'm just trying to help you to explain why the Building Code Council, discussed the work requirement, and then now it's not even a thing.
When we originally discussed the work requirement, I need to discuss this in two different fashions. We were talking about 2021 fire code and the emergency rulemaking. And today we're talking about the 2024 fire code. And in the 2021 fire code, there wasn't enough time to do anything about a work requirement between now and the end of the year, because we're under an emergency rulemaking situation. Currently, the reason that NICET is not viable to do this for the vast number of technicians that are in the state is because the ICC NAFED certification is the only one targeted to this discipline. The NICET certification is for special hazards, right? And the vast majority of the technicians that work on paint booth or industrial dry chem systems in this state, or in the country for that matter, don't work on those bigger special hazard systems. So they don't have the opportunity to work on those systems and then get that NICET level 2, because they're working for pre-engineered kitchen systems, pre-engineered industrial dry chem systems, and they're working on portable fire extinguishers. They're not working on engineered systems or special hazard systems like the NICET certification tests for. So it's really important to have the ICC NAFED certification as that exception, that second exception, because the vast majority of technicians work in that discipline. They don't work in the other one. So ICC NAFED doesn't have a way, ICC across the country for every test that it gives, does not have a way to take in a work requirement. In fact, their principle is that the test itself is the barrier of entry. And that if you pass that test, that you have enough experience to work within this discipline. And it's that bar is set at a very high level for this discipline. So that's how I would answer your question, Ken. Certainly in good faith, I want to negotiate a work requirement, as I said, but there does not appear to be one available to us for the 2021 fire code. And as we research it for the ICC NAFED certification, ICC NAFED has very strongly held a principle of setting the bar high with their exam to make sure that you can't pass it unless you are certified to or competent to do this work.
I'll just continue asking the next question then. Does your recertification process have a work requirement?
There's a continuing education requirement between the I believe the initial certificate and the secondary certificate. Did Dave Pelton from NAFED show? He was supposed to be on this call, so he could have answered that a little better. I can't see everybody.
I don't see him in the guest list here today.
Okay.
If he's maybe under a different name, just raise your hand if you're here. I'm not seeing any hands coming up.
So there's a continuing education requirement to get a renewal certificate.
Yes, sir.
But there's not and we understand that there's not a work requirement. There's just a continue education requirement.
Yeah, to stay up and stay professional and continue to
Okay.
work with you. Yeah.
And when we had proposed before was asking to, hey, would you just be okay with it's just saying anybody that's been recertified, even though we know you could just take the test originally again and get recertified, but with the understanding that majority of the people would just have the continuing education, and then we would have the assumption that they would have been working in the field to obtain the continuing education units. So in conjunction with the continuing education units, they would have some work experience, a lot less than what the NICET has, but at least some work experience. You guys weren't willing to do that. You just said there wasn't a mechanism to indicate if somebody had a new certificate or if they had been recertified. And I'm just wondering if you've rethought that and if your exception could just be somebody that had been recertified in those disciplines versus just certified.
The issue with that path or course of action is that would create a 3-year waiting period for anyone to get certified, because if you didn't accept the first certificate, which is, I believe, was proposed before, if you don't accept the first certificate, then the second certificate doesn't come for 3 years. So you would, in essence, be taking a person who can pass the test and then not allowing them to work for 3 years until they get the second certificate where they've had their continuing education and then recertified. So that is a 3-year waiting period is not necessary, and it's certainly not practical, because that would put us in a position in the state where we don't have enough technicians to do this work.
But could NAFED change their 3-year and change it to a 12-month? So again, that would show that they had some work experience, or 24 months, or even the 36 months, which does show that they have some work experience. Nothing's stopping them from applying, right, within that 3-year, or would you just refuse their application if they applied?
I don't know the answer to that question, Ken,
Okay.
if it could be shortened. But what I would say to you is that this is a nationally accredited standard and a nationally accredited certification. And they're not going to change it for one state. It's set up nationally with an entry or a test that is a significant entry to or barrier to entry. So when I do my research and I talk to ICC and I talk to NAFED, they're very stringent about, we're not going to change, because across the country, our tests are the standard, and they for this, and frankly, they believe they're good enough. So I think that would be a very uphill road to get the national national accreditation changed.
Gentlemen, maybe it might be a best use of time to let Ricky present his proposal on this same topic. In that way, we can continue to digest both of them at the same time. It's a little bit different tack, and I think that we can come back and discuss the different licensing requirements across the board here. I think that it's a longer conversation, and I'd like to maybe cover both of them at the same time. So Ricky, I have here your proposal 24 GP1-102. It's the revised version. And if you'd like to just run us through this here real quick, and maybe kind of while we're doing that, address maybe the concerns that Ken and both Jamie are maybe discussing here, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, perfect. I appreciate it, Dustin. And before we really get into deep of it, when we do go to vote, I will be abstaining from any vote, whether it be from Jamie or myself on my proposal. But if you go down to the reasons why, I do list out a WAC for description of a sprinkler fitter. If you could, I would appreciate it if you could pull that up on your window to kind of see what the scope of work of a sprinkler fitter is, to show the
This
history.
one right here?
Yep. So at the very top, you see the WAC up there?
Yeah, I'll get to it real quick. I'll bring it up.
Yep. So what my proposal is trying to solve the issue of currently there's only 21 set level 2 and NICET level 3 special hazard holders in Washington state, 21 whole state. If we move forward with this proposal, not mine, but the one that we keep pushing down the road, there's not enough individuals in the state to perform that work. Traditionally and historically, a sprinkler fitter would do this work. As you can see here on LNI's description of a sprinkler fitter, which historically shows what a sprinkler fitter does, it does handle special hazard systems, whether it be CO2, Cardox, dry chemical, halon foam, and other fire protection systems. I'm opposed to Jamie's position, and I'm all for education. What the problem is having that work group drop down to 21 people, I believe, is an unreasonable request. So basically what I'm asking is that the IFC tag accept a sprinkler fitter with the ITT level certification to install the tank, hoses, piping system restraints, and that's it. Just as they have done in the past 20, 30 years. So that's kind of my stuff in a nutshell. Again, I'm all for education. And I think Jamie's certification is valid other than the lack of experience. So that's all I have, unless there's any questions out there.
Quinn, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to let you know I'm here now. I don't see Ray on, but I'm here.
Thank you, Quinn. All right, is there anybody who has questions, comments on what Ricky presented? Ken?
So I just want to make sure I understand. So currently, these Washington State journey level sprinkler fitters are already doing this work for these companies that are installing these systems or maintaining these systems, because they don't have the staff to keep up with the work. So the only way the work's getting done is the sprinkler fitters who have the experience have been doing the work.
So
is that right?
So that is right. And I'm going to say that specific AHJs have started enforcing the law, even though it's been punted down the road a few times, meaning the special hazard requirement. But saying that, we've been doing this stuff for a long time. I think if you see that the last time the definition of a sprinkler fitter has been changed was back in 2003. And I can't tell you what was changed on it, honestly. We've been doing this for a long time.
But your scope of work that you guys have been working on, it hasn't got into the design, drawing up the plans, programming. It's just doing we're going to put the bottles in. Yeah, the seismic restraints, the piping, all that kind of stuff. You're not filling the bottles.
Nope.
Nope. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Nope.
All right, Jamie.
In my experience in Washington State and across the country, working in pre-engineered fire suppression systems for the last 30 plus years, both as a installer in the state of Washington, a technician in the state of Washington, and a factory representative for Ansel and now Amerex, two of the larger manufacturers in the country, I would say that my experience is that sprinkler fitters very rarely install any part of a pre-engineered wet chemical or dry chemical system. With special hazard systems like CO2 and water mist and those other things, that certainly might be the case. That's not my discipline. With the pre-engineered systems of kitchen, industrial dry chem, that is done by the certified factory represented technicians that go to an Ansel school or a Pyrochem school or a Badger school or an Amerex school to do that, to get certified. And within those certifications, those pre-engineered certifications from those manufacturers, you can't hire somebody else to do the rest of that work. So in my experience, this portion of it, and Ricky, I apologize, I think you've got kitchen suppression lined out in some of these. So I'm still absorbing your presentation here a little bit. But in my experience, kitchen pre-engineered, dry chem pre-engineered, that's done all by that discipline and not the sprinkler industry. So that's my statement, sir, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Dustin, I don't seem to have the ability to raise my hand. I'm sorry to just jump in here, but I don't see that.
Not a problem. If you wave it on screen for me and instead of pressing the button, I'll get you. I'll give you notice that I saw you, and we'll get you up next.
Well, I'd just like to chime in here real quick. You know, I'm the president of Washington Fire Protection Association. I'm also a business owner that my crew goes out and does these industrial dry chemical systems. I'd just like to throw in here that not only, right, we're required to have the ICC test, but that's a tough test. You got to know what you're doing. It's proctored. You have to sit in a room by yourself. And if there's anybody else around, they make you cancel the test. But that's only part of it. We also have to go through manufacturer training. So if we want to install a Jamie's Amerex system, well, we have to go to Jamie's class on how to install an Amerex industrial system. We also have to do that for every other manufacturer. And that certification is then submitted with our permits. So it's not even like, oh, we're just taking the ICC. There's other levels to this as well. And to get to the ICC test, we have to have, like, as a business owner, I'm not going to put anybody new, anybody that's been here less than 6 months, 9 months. I'm not even going to put them in that situation to take that test because they're not going to be ready, right? And combine that, those two tests with the experience they need to pass a test, and then you combine it with what's out there in real life right now. I'm getting calls left and right from construction companies trying to install these systems. There's not enough people that can do it currently. I mean, I got a call that they can't get anybody around here to answer their phone to do the work, right? So it's already tough enough to get people to install it. I worry that if we make it too much tighter, the safety, I don't see the safety getting better. Public safety is not going to end up better by tightening it even more. Like there's already a lot that we have to go through with those multiple tests and knowing what to do and the manufacturer certification. So that's just my 2 cents on it. Next time I'll wave at you in the camera.
Gotcha. Mark?
Mark Titano with Commercial Fire Protection. I thought I'd just like to make a comment as one who has seen the test and once prepared for the test for the NICET certification, special hazards, that one of the big differences is there is a lot of electrical involved in that, a lot of electrical questions in that in order for ones to get that certification. Historically, those that are installing these pre-engineered systems, they are installing many of the mechanisms that go into it, mechanical things, but in Washington State, they cannot do the electrical. That must be a low voltage certified person. So they don't do it. So they have to learn a completely new trade in order to pass the NICET special hazards test, which has proven to be a real obstacle for those that have been doing this work to continue their work, because they have to learn electrical now to pass the special hazards NICET certification. That's just a comment I would like to make. That is a real obstacle to technicians.
Looks like Ricky, you have your hand up after that.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to jump in and say, Our membership, I am a union rep. Our membership and all, as well as I have attended these special classes, manufactured classes to install these specific systems. The problem with those classes, number one, they're tied to the employer and they do not follow the individual actually doing the work. Number two, there's no way of tracking that in the state of Washington other than, you ask the employer, are you certified, and are you using certified employees doing that work? That's kind of why I did not bring that up in my proposal, just because it's hard to track that type of stuff. I believe what I showed here shows that we have done that work. We're doing that work. It should continue that way. It's not going to cause a burden on the state of Washington providing those manpower to do this.
Jamie.
Yeah, so I'd just say that, in Ricky's proposal here, it appears that he's removed the second exception that we've been discussing about adding ICC NAFED as the certification for pre-engineered, right? And then added the sprinkler, if I have that understanding correctly. That would be a very big problem, removing that second exception, because again, to revisit this, the ICC NAFED certification is targeted at these mechanical individuals that do this mechanical work. And if they're forced to go get that NICET certification, they're going to have to become electricians. And that's a 4-year process. They were talking about different disciplines. And then as far as adding in an exception to add, I guess, any journeyman sprinkler fitter to do this pre-engineered work for it, I just don't see that fit, simply because those individuals, fire protection professionals, wonderful fire protection people, but simply don't work in this discipline. They're not hanging the bottles for a kitchen system or a industrial dry chem system on a regular basis. That's being done by the fire equipment distributors that sell that brand of equipment, whether it's Captive Air or whether it's Ansel or whether it's Pyrochem. That's all being done soup to nuts by them. There's not enough money in a job like this to hire a sprinkler fitter to hang the bottles and do the piping. There's simply not. And these are very high volume jobs where you might have one installer who's doing 5 different installs a week for different fast food restaurants or paint booth, new body shops being built. So I would be very concerned about number 14 on the agenda in this proposal by Ricky going forward. It would create a situation where we don't have enough people able to do the work, even though they've been doing the work for a very long time. And then we'd be adding in the sprinkler fitters to do this work who don't have any experience doing this work. They're not sitting in these pre-engineered classes that us manufacturers are giving, and they don't hold the ICC NAFED certification in this discipline. So I would be very concerned about this.
Ken?
Okay, so in Ricky's proposal, he's not required to take somebody else's proposal and put their exception in. So that's probably why he has not done that. He has just listed a second exception, just like Jamie listed a second exception. So there would just be a code correlation that would have to happen when you're listening to both of these proposals to add a third exception in there. So I think it's fair that it's not a requirement of him to add in Jamie's proposal into his. So they're 2 separate proposals. There's going to be 2 separate recommendations for each proposal. There's no reason to try to merge these together into one proposal because they are 2 separate proposals. I'm a little confused because I have the union sprinkler person telling me that they're already doing this work out there and what their limitations are that they're doing. And then I have somebody from industry that's telling me, no, they're not, and that they're not qualified to do it. I think
use the word qualified.
Okay, you're telling me then that they cannot do the work because they have not gone through your Amorex training, and I have a union rep that says they have attended those trainings. So there's conflict there. I believe Ricky's just trying to add additional people to the workforce to do specific items on these special hazard suppression systems. Not doing all of it, just doing specific things to help getting these things installed. Doesn't mean somebody has to hire them, but they're available and they have the knowledge to be able to install the containers, to put the piping in. They have the knowledge to be able to do that, according to what Ricky and his industry is saying. I don't see an issue with allowing them to do this part of the job. It just adds that additional workforce. And so that's how I see this as just a separate issue right now than the first issue. They're not just going to be all of a sudden be able to do the entire thing. They're just doing a small portion of it, because for whatever reasons, not enough workforce right now to get it done. So they're trying to come up with an option in which is supposedly they're already out in the field doing right now. So I'll leave it at that.
Jamie?
Yeah, we have a workforce that is out there doing this work already every day and has been since the 1950s, and that workforce is quite developed in state of Washington, and they do this all the time. Now, there may be some journeyman sprinkler fitters that have attended these classes and that they can do this work, but not all journeyman sprinkler fitters can do this work, right? I would submit that the only way a journeyman sprinkler fitter would be qualified to do this work is if additional to their journeyman sprinkler fitter work, they went to a factory certification, right, class for that brand that they would be installing, and they need to learn 100% of that system because it's pre-engineered together, and there are a bunch of rules that are specific to those tanks, those nozzles, that piping for each of those different brands. And then I would submit above and beyond that, a journeyman sprinkler fitter would need to go get the ICC NAFED certification that is specifically targeted to this discipline, because they're just separate, different things. The piping rules that apply to the sprinkler world do not apply to pre-engineered fire suppression. All of the piping rules are specific to each system that's listed under the UL 300 and UL 1254 standards. And unless you've been to that specific class for that specific system, you don't know those piping rules and therefore don't know how to hang that piping, put that piping where it needs to be, route it to the nozzles, or any of those things. They're just because it's pipe doesn't mean it's the same discipline. So there's my answer to that, gentlemen.
Joshua?
Well, Jamie kind of stole my thunder there. That's pretty much exactly what I was going to say with the different piping requirements. And when you talk about these piping networks, they have to be balanced a certain way, so many feet on this way, so many feet on that way. So that person doing that work would definitely have to have that knowledge, and it's specific for every manufacturer. And my follow-up would be, why are we doing that? If the guys that are doing it now know it, so why would we convolute it and take it out of their hands and say you can't do that when they do that all the time? That they are the ones that have been for a very long time.
Well, this is Zach Suppression Systems, but even the original proposal, not these modified proposals, allowed fitters to install the piping, right? They're not asking to design it. The design will be provided to them, and they're going to install it per the design. That's always been written in, and we hire sprinkler fitters to install our special hazards piping all the time. I take no exception to allowing fitters to do that.
Ken.
So Zach, thank you for bringing that up, because I'm just getting this, I'm trying to get what's really happening out there in the world right now. And if you're telling me that you're already supervising these jobs as a NICET person and you're hiring sprinkler people to do a portion of this work, you haven't had any problems with it because you're basically supervising the work and they're subcontracting, right?
That is correct. We're providing them a design, and we're coming in at the commissioning of the piping system and doing our pneumatic or hydraulic testing.
Do you require them to have gone through any special additional classes or not to do that work? Or are you comfortable with what you're seeing out in their field because they're just following what you're telling them to do?
Very comfortable.
All right, any more comments or questions on specific proposals or on the topic as a whole? I'm not seeing any hands. Jamie, I saw you come on mute. Did you have anything to?
I would just have everybody remember that there's a very big difference between engineered suppression systems and pre-engineered suppression systems. And although Zach is correct in that for a very large pre-engineered system that his company would do, hiring out the piping might be possible for him to do. But if those fitters have not gone through the factory certification, none of the manufacturers will back that system. Because it wasn't installed by a factory certified person. And there's a difference between those and most of these. I would say most of these, or the vast majority of pre-engineered dry chem systems, are installed by pre-engineered dry chem technicians. And there's no water going through this pipe. We are pushing sand through pipe. Literally dry powder through pipe. And it's a particular discipline that is not the same. So I would just caution everybody to understand that there's a real difference here. So thank you. And I guess we'll just wait to see what happens next.
Okay, so on this one, since we do have two separate and distinct proposals, I'd like to, I guess, go back and focus in on number 072. That's the one from Jamie Knowles. And as Ken mentioned earlier, we don't necessarily have to disapprove of both or approve of both. And they could potentially be combined in the process later on. So I would like to focus in on the Amorex proposal and move towards making a motion on this particular proposal. And so seeing here, I don't have a whole lot to add to this one other than we have a current emergency rule in effect that's going to pretty much bring exception to or it brings an exception that allows NAFED certificates to be used in lieu of the NICET licensing until January 1 this coming year. And we are looking to do some additional rulemaking on our 2021 code on this same topic. And so if we could have what we're putting into the 2024 code kind of align with what the intent is for the 2021 code as well, it would kind of reduce confusion in the long run. So on that one, I'll open up to the floor for some more discussion on this one in particular. And I would be looking for a motion in the end to recommend adoption, recommend modification, or recommend not adoption on this particular proposal. And so, Ken, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'll throw this out there. What happens if you get no motions?
If I get no motions at all, I guess if we're just gonna be silent on it, I'll move on to the next one. And if we get no motions on that, we would just I guess make a report that neither proposal was supported enough to recommend adoption, nor disapproved of enough to make a motion to disapprove. So I guess without a motion, it stays here at the tag level with the new rules established by the bill 6291. So if a petition's given back down to the tag and there's no recommendation for adoption, the committee doesn't hear it, the council doesn't hear it. Jamie.
I would just say this, I'd be very willing to sit down and do in a work group with these two proposals, because as you stated, it would be much easier if we can stream them together for the 2024. I'd be very willing to sit down and work with Ricky and Ken and anybody else that's invested in this to have that discussion to make this less complicated if we don't get any motions. So I'm very willing to do that if that's the will of this committee.
Okay, I appreciate that, Jamie. With that in mind, I guess that kind of adds a fourth option to our potential motions, is a motion to ask proponents to potentially sit together and work these. I will say that what Ken said earlier, that there's no, I guess, requirement for anybody to add components of a different proposal to their proposal, but if both proponents are favorable to working together to get a more unified proposal before this group, we can entertain the motion. So I guess focus back on number 072. Do we have any motions to adopt, modify, or deny this one for recommendation for adoption? Okay, so seeing no hands, I'm hearing no voices on that one. Moving to number 102, which is Ricky's proposal. Is there any motion to recommend adoption, modify this one in any way, or recommend denial of this proposal for adoption? I see a hand, Ken Brulette.
I'll move to approve the proposal as provided.
Do I have a second?
This is Walker.
I will second it.
Will second the motion.
All right, all those in favor of recommending approval of proposal number 102 for adoption as presented here, please say aye.
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 Are there any in opposition? When you have your hand up?
Yeah, Dustin, I'll abstain on this vote because I came in late, so I didn't hear most of the
Gotcha.
argument.
So,
And then Ricky was abstaining too, I think.
yes. In this instance, since we've got some more than just a unanimous one way or the other vote, I'm gonna do a roll call vote on this one. So for first, the architect Jacob Liddycoat.
Yes.
For the building official Quinn Tai, or you're abstaining, sorry.
Correct.
For fire marshal Ken Brulette.
Aye.
For the manufacturer supplier Ricky, you're abstaining as well. For fire protection engineer primary Walker Danucci.
Aye. Yes.
For the fire sprinkler industry prime, if they're absent. For the general public subject matter experts primary Samir Mokashi.
Aye.
For the fire alarm industry primary David Mao.
Aye.
And for the fire chief primary Lance Dahl.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ayes and 2 abstentions. Okay, that one passes. Going back to the previous one, number 072, we had no motions. If Ken.
Just to be fair, I would like to make a motion that we do continue our talks with Jamie and try to work on his proposal a little bit more. So that's going to be my motion.
That was kind of what I was gonna ask for on this one, so
I will second that motion.
it's, who's that, Ray Shipman?
Yes, it was.
Okay. All right, just to clarify that motion, we're asking for some work with Jamie Knowles and some members of this group to continue work on that one to bring it back with hopefully some positive motion on that one.
Yeah, and just discussion with that is that I don't think it's fair just to kill it at this level right now. I think that we should still, continue to work together. We have some time and see if we can come up with something that's agreeable with the tag.
So Ken maybe and Ricky, would you guys be willing to be in communication with Jamie to discuss the potential merits of those proposals?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. All those in favor of tabling proposal number 072 till a future meeting to be determined at a subsequent meeting, please say aye.
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 Is there any in opposition? All right, that motion passes. All right, moving on from those two agenda items, this brings us to agenda item number 5. It's Ken Brulette's proposal number 042. Give me just a moment to pull that up. Oops, sorry, I've got the wrong one here. This one Ken also submitted a revision on. Ken, would you mind introducing this one to us again, please?
So we talked about this last tag meeting that I needed to revise this because I was not showing all the existing WAC language that we have now because we brought in the 24 language into our WAC for the 21 code. So I went back in and added it in. That's the difference between the original proposal and the revised proposal. So this is it's funny, these are kind of out of order here, but this is the when we get down to outdoor storage in this chapter, that's where this proposal is. So to begin with is that we in state of Washington, when we brought forward the 24 section, we brought it in as section 322 in our WAC, and it's been renumbered to 320 for the 24 code. And that's where you'll see all of these that show the numbering that's been changed to from 320, like the very beginning at the outdoor storage at the 322. It's now 320.43 in the 24 code. So you can see how that's the only change to that section. And then with regards to the complying with sections, it was the additional sections were added that is part of this proposal. The technical and opinion and report, that's something that's would be brand new in the state of Washington, and that's bringing forward the technical opinion and report requirements that have been proposed at the 27 code change hearings. So again, we're just doing the same process that we did before by trying to bring the most recent language forward from the 27 into our 24, just like we did from the 24 into our 21. The distance from storage to exposures. There's a new number 4 that's in here. There's also, we deleted out the storage beneath weather protection and just kind of on and on down here, distance from storage from exposures, I'm sorry, the storage area size limits and separations. So I guess the easiest thing to do instead of, and I don't know if you have it up, I'm looking. The easiest thing is looking at the number 5, that when you're talking about briefly explain your proposal and it goes line by line item.
Yep.
That would be the easiest way for everybody to just read the individual sections, and hopefully people took the time to be able to look at this ahead of time and not just waiting for the proposal. But I know we're all busy. So I guess if you have a question on an individual section that's not answered by the number 5, explanation, please just ask those questions. I think that's the easiest thing for me to do here, so I don't go through and talk about every single one.
Gotcha. So with that one, we'll open the floor to comments, questions. And as always, we welcome the public to participate. So I'm seeing no hands. I'm not seeing anybody else come unmuted on the guest list. In that case, we are in a position to entertain motions for recommendation of adoption, modification, or recommend denial or further work on this proposal. Do I hear any motions to move this proposal in any particular direction?
I'm maybe naive in some of this, but I'd motion to approve as presented.
Walker, I'll second the motion.
Okay, that's Jacob and Walker. Is there any discussion on recommending this one for adoption as drafted?
It's Ken, I'm just going to abstain from voting to be fair.
Okay. All right, so since you're going to be abstaining, Ken, I'm going to do a roll call vote on this one. For restating the motion on this one, we are recommending adoption as drafted in 24 GP1-042, the first revision. This was discussed at our previous meeting, and Ken redrafted this one to bring back to us. And so we're just recommending for adoption as drafted. First up, the architect alternate, Jacob Liddycoat.
Approve. Aye.
The building official primary, Quinn Tai.
Aye.
The fire marshal, Ken Brulette, is abstaining. Manufacturer supplier primary, Ricky Campbell.
Aye.
Fire protection engineer primary, Walker Danucci.
Aye.
General public subject matter expert primary, Samir Mokashi.
Aye.
Fire alarm industry primary, David Mao.
Aye.
And fire chief primary, Lance Dahl.
Aye.
All right, the ayes have it. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 abstention. All right. Moving on, we are on to agenda item number 6, which is proposal 24 GP1-041, which is also a Ken Brulette proposal. Ken, you spoke on this one last week as well. Is there any updates that you want to give to the group?
It's the same type of revision. I wanted to show again all of the current WAC requirements. Again, starts out with how I cross out the permit section because it's no longer needed, since again, it's now in the 24 code. And again, we brought the 24 code stuff into our 21 code. And again, the 24 IFC has been renumbered and titled to section 320. There's a few other sections that's no longer necessary, as we have the 24 IFC has the same language. So like in the 0403 section, the WAC 51-0403, which is in chapter 4. That's already in the 24, so we can just have that as a reserve section. And then we just have the technical changes to revising the limited storage section. So it's very similar, or actually it's identical to NFPA 855, which has kind of been the leading document nationwide with regards to the collection of lithium batteries. Again, probably the biggest one is the 320.4.2.3 section regarding this was brought up that the revision has included corrected oversight in this section. It required the automatic fire sprinkler system design to be based on a technical report. However, many scenarios will have batteries with less than 30% state of charge, which exempts to technical report requirements. So in chapter 9, they also has been revised to provide additional guidance on the sprinkler system design for lithium-ion batteries protection. So that's why this section just points to chapter 9 for guidance on the sprinkler systems. So again, anything that it's not covered already in the statement, any other questions, but it's pretty much the same thing, just bringing forward, copying all the 24 language that we already put in the 21 and just a few more clarifications that have been brought forward at the 27 code hearings that have already gone through the development process and appear to be going to be passed. So that's it.
All right, open the floor for comments or questions for Ken. Seeing no hands, seeing nobody unmuting, we're in a position to entertain a motion on this one to recommend for adoption as drafted, to recommend modifications or recommend denial. Do I have anybody who wants to make a motion?
This is Walker. I'll make a motion to recommend adoption to the council.
This is Clint. I'll second it.
All righty. Is there any discussion on recommending adoption as drafted? Seeing no hands, all those in favor of, Ken, are you planning on abstaining for this?
Yeah, I gotta abstain again.
Okay, I'm gonna do a roll call vote on this one. For the architect alternate, Jacob Liddycoat.
Aye.
For building official primary, Quinn Tai.
Aye.
Ken is abstaining. For the manufacturer supplier primary, Ricky Campbell.
Aye.
For the fire protection engineer primary, Walker Danuji.
Aye.
For general public subject matter expert, Samir Mokashi.
Aye.
For fire alarm industry primary, David Mao.
Aye.
And for fire chief primary, Lance Dahl.
Aye.
Thank you. The ayes have it. We have 6 yes, 1 abstention. Okay, moving forward. Let's finish my notes. That brings us to agenda item number 7, 8, which is IFC tag proposal 24 GP1083. We have a revision on this one as well. Pulling it up. We have that one here. Ricky, you're the drafter on this one. Would you mind leading us through it for a little bit? Ricky, are you still with us? Nope.
I am. So I think approved this last meeting, right?
Let me run back and just double check. So the motion at the last meeting was to modify to add the standard and ordinances. And we just said we'd hear it at the next meeting. So it was pretty much passed last meeting.
Right.
and just to give time for ordinances and standards to be digested, we wanted to hear it again. Just to touch base on this particular process. When we make modifications in the future, my plan after discussion with other staff is to bring modified proposals and all proposals we've discussed back around for a final meeting for approval as a group. That way we're not necessarily shuffling things around in our meetings, and our proponents can maybe expect a little bit more consistency if we're not bringing proposals back at each meeting. So this is the last one we'll have in the process where we have made a modification and bring it back to rehear. It will be on the last group meeting at the end of the process as well. But if we could have a motion, or I guess I would open it up for discussion. Is there anybody from the public who has comments on the changes made at the last meeting? And if so, I'll open it up to the floor now on that. So just raise your hand if you'd like to make a comment. All right, seeing no hands coming up, can we entertain a motion on this one to recommend adoption as presented?
I'll make the motion to recommend adoption as presented, Samir.
Do I have a second?
This is Walker. I will second.
All right, any discussion on this one?
Dustin, this is Quinn here. Can someone refresh my memory? I know we talked about it on our last meeting, but this actual, because originally locally adopted street, wasn't that a previous WAC? And in the last code cycle, we reincorporated the model code because some cities, especially the smaller cities, don't have a locally adopted ordinance for this. And so the reasoning that the last tag group in the last cycle to reincorporate the model code was to give them language to use. That was based on memory. So do you guys remember our discussion at the last code cycle?
I would have to yield to others, but Ken has his hand up.
Yeah, so that was my proposal last time around, was to do that. But I was reminded by Dave Cocott that in RCW 19.27.060, I believe that's the section where number 5 says no provision of the Uniform Fire Code concerning roadways shall be part of the state building code, provided that this subsection shall not limit the authority of a county or city to adopt street, road, or access standards. So yes, I wanted to be able to give people the ability to adopt the body of the code if they want to, and they still can do that if they want to.
Okay.
But that was the problem, is that it's actually in the RCW that, yeah, we're not supposed to do this. I tried last cycle and failed.
Okay, as long as we're not limiting the smaller jurisdiction, I'm okay with that then.
I do have a question on that, actually, looking at the language. Yeah, so it says no provision of the Uniform Code shall be in the building code. I'm looking at the WAC language you just had up, actually. Item 5 says no provision, etc., shall be part of the state building code. Does that include the fire code?
So, one of the things that I see that can kind of be confusing for folks over the course of time is in our RCW, you'll notice it says the Uniform Fire Code, which we don't adopt and maintain anymore. But it's taken to mean the International Fire Code today. And the state building code is kind of the umbrella statement that covers all of the code. It includes all of the 5111, 5111C, 5111R, and including 5154A, the fire code, and all the anything that's in Title 50 of the WAC is covered by that term, state building code.
Okay, that's how I thought the terms worked. I just wanted to make absolutely sure since I was looking right at the language right now. So,
Gotcha.
thank you.
Any further discussion on recommendation to adopt as drafted? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Can I get a voice vote? All those in favor of recommending adoption as drafted, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition? Alrighty, that one passes today for the recommendation to adopt. That brings us to agenda item number 8, which is 24 GP1084, and that one is an IFC tag proposal.
And this is me as well.
Okay. Ricky, if you want to take us on a quick tour real quick, I'm going to keep on updating my notes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of changes in this that I recommended that we as a group have to review. This is going to definitely be a big lift. The terminologies have changed in some of this stuff. So some of it is updating, the communication enhancement systems. Some of it, they're changing, inside the building, outside the building, radio strength and stuff like that. So we're probably going to have to go through this whole thing. This might be a heavy lift right here, or maybe not. I don't know what the group's feeling is.
Okay. Is there anything specifically that you find is going to be the challenging part that we could show here on screen? Or is it the whole proposal?
Yeah, it's probably the whole proposal.
Okay. Well, do you have any more you want to chat on before we open it up for comments, questions?
I did pull in, I can't remember where it's at, and I don't have my notes in front of me. I did pull in a section of the WAC in here, or the 5154A, just because it was a substantial portion of it. So, yeah.
Okay. Ken, you have your hand up?
So Ricky, were you able to show, and maybe I can't find it, where the WAC stuff is in here versus, I'm just trying to figure out where's the WAC stuff, what that's in here.
I'm sure I underlined the WAC
Okay.
stuff.
So
And I
like,
think it was missing the subset, so
okay,
510, it was missing from the IFC, but it
okay.
was in the WAC.
So let me help a little bit, since I was the
Sure.
one that put together the proposal last time that created the WAC. So we brought in a lot of the 24 language into the 21 code. There's no proposals that I know of, trying to bring the 27 into the 24. But if we just start with the very beginning of this proposal, the adding in the communication enhancement systems, that is basically, that's model code language now for the 24. So we would not have a amendment to that locally. In the 510.1, all of the stuff that you show underline is the 24 language. So there would be no reason for us to continue the WAC for that. The number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4, again, are all 24 base code language stuff. So, that's what I think that we're doing here, is that what you've shown here is, if it's true, everything that you've shown here might just match the model code language. So I'm just trying to figure out what the difference is between the WAC and the model code language now.
Yeah, if we go to the bottom where where we make the argument. I think I did break down things that
Okay.
way. Yeah, see
Okay.
where the state amendment is not needed. See, right,
Got it.
falling right in line with what Ken was saying. So some of that stuff, like the operational permit, that was something new, I believe. We need to review that. System performance, that's another one. So I believe I broke down the whole thing this way to try to make it easier for everybody to understand what's going on.
No, that helps me out because
Yeah.
what you exactly did is you went section by section.
Yep.
So can we, question for the chair, can we assign 1 or 2 persons from the group to do a more detailed review and make a recommendation rather than everybody trying to make a recommendation and decide for ourselves? Can we have somebody who's is not presenting, make a recommendation to the group?
We can definitely do that. So if we were looking to maybe table this for a future meeting, we would make a recommendation to, I guess, get a small work group together to review this one and come with a modified proposal at a future meeting.
Or proposal to recommend approval as written or whatever we want to do. Just get somebody detailed looking at it. Yeah.
Yes. So, if that is the will of the group, do we want to entertain a motion to convene a small work group to review some of these targeted sections and bring it back at a future meeting to be determined?
I propose to make that recommendation.
This is Ricky. I would second that. And I must say my knowledge of radio is very limited. But yeah.
Anybody wants to, so after this done, anybody wants to raise their hand for the small group, that would be great too.
Yes. All right. So we have a motion to convene a small work group to review targeted sections of this proposal as identified in section 5. Do we have any volunteers that we could just add into this motion as part of the discussion?
Oh, I'll volunteer, but can we take a break after this one?
Yes, sir. We certainly can.
Thanks.
Walker, do you want to volunteer too?
Yep.
Good.
Just put my hand up. I can't add time today, but I can meet with the small working group
All righty.
over the next week.
On this one, I guess, can we assume Ricky, you'll help on that one as well?
Yeah, my hand's raised.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
No problem.
All right. Anybody else interested in working with that small work group to look at this one?
I'm out of town next week, but I can give a hand with this. I've got quite a little experience with it.
Okay. All right. So do we consider the addition of those names friendly amendments to the motion to convene a small work group? Samir and
Yes.
Ricky?
Yes.
Awesome. Then for all those in favor of convening a small work group to review proposal 24 GP1-084 to review targeted sections identified in section 5 with the work group including Ken Brulette, Walker Danucci, Ricky Campbell, and David Mao, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition to that motion? All righty, that motion passes. And that one's tabled until a future date. I guess in order to give you guys some time to work on that one, I don't want to have it at next week's meeting, but maybe the meeting after that. So that would be, let me view a calendar real quick. the October 22nd meeting, and then hopefully I can get it back no later than the 18th. Do you think that that's enough time to review this amongst yourselves, or should we give it a little bit more?
Ken and Ricky, you probably have the best sense of timing.
Yeah, I think that would be enough time. I really think that, you know, we can get this done in an hour.
Great. Yep. Later this week, early next week. Let's knock it out.
Okay, awesome. Then we will be wrapped up with that one for today. I'm not gonna save any, well, I'll save those. We have a comment on there.
And that's, I'm sorry, it's Ricky, Ken, Samir, myself, and David Mao.
Yes, and so what we'll do after this meeting, we'll just shoot out this proposal and create a group message with you guys, and so you guys can view it without having to go and surf for it online.
Thanks.
All right. That brings us to number 9, Ken Brulette proposal for electric vehicle charging stations. Ken, does this interface with 429 at all?
No.
Think
Are
No,
we
this
already,
is
we
regarding
already
a disconnect.
tackled those ones? Okay.
right time.
So hoping we could take a 5-minute
Oh,
break.
yes, let's take a 5-minute break. Sorry, Ken, I forgot about you. So it's 3:26 now. Let's reconvene at 3:31. All right. I guess just to do a quick roll call here to see if everybody's back. Chair Dan Young. He was having technical difficulties earlier.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Dan, gotcha.
Yep.
And then architect alternate Jacob Liddycoat.
Here.
Thank you. Building official primary Quinn Tai.
Here.
Thank you. Alternate Ray Shipman. Fire official primary Ken Brulette.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here too.
That's Samir. Give me
Yes.
one moment. Let's see. Manufacturer supplier primary Ricky Campbell.
Present.
Fire protection engineer primary Walker Danucci.
Present.
Fires, nope, they're absent. General public, we got Samir already called in. General public says the subject matter expert alternate Seth Henderson. Not seeing them online now. Fire alarm industry primary David Mao.
Present.
Thank you. Alternate Zachary Tuck.
Yep.
Thank you. And the fire chief primary Lance Dahl.
Here.
Thank you. All right, we're still rocking and rolling with a quorum. So we are looking at agenda item number 9, proposal 24-GP1-046. This one is drafted by Ken Brulette. And Ken, if you wouldn't mind taking us on a little tour.
Sure. So this has kind of been a hot button topic, because we're looking for a button or some kind of emergency disconnect for electrical vehicle charging stations. And
I like the joke.
You like it? I'm trying. I'm trying. It's getting late. So the fire industry's been saying, hey, in our fire code right now in our motor vehicle section, we already have disconnect requirements for different motor vehicle fueling dispensing stations, but we have nothing for electrical vehicles. So there's been a 2027 code change proposal for IFC that was brought forward, and it actually got through committee, but there's been a couple public comments on it. And one of the public comments is what you see here, this 611.1 disconnecting means, which basically says, hey, if you have a permanent connected electrical vehicle supply equipment, that they shall be provided one or more emergency disconnects, blah, blah, blah. And it should be in accordance with NFPA 70. Well, NFPA 70 has put in disconnect requirements, but my understanding is that the fire officials would still like to see something more descriptive in our fire code. And I spoke to Chris Praff from West Pierce Fire and Rescue. He's been working with Seattle's Fires, Chris Green, who's recently retired, nationwide on trying to get this changed, trying to get something changed in NFPA 70, maybe something in NFPA 30A, to help address this. And this is my first stab of trying to get something in there. It was kind of a placeholder so we could continue to discuss it. They would like to see some different language actually added that would show a disconnect, like the location. And I wish, Dustin, do you have the ability? I mean, I don't even know if you show, let me see what's the right terminology. Do you have any of the committee action documents or anything like that in the code hearings? Otherwise, if you'd allow me to share my screen, I can
I
show
can
what
stop
was.
the share. I don't have them readily available
Okay.
to pull up as part of what we got going on here today. You might be able to pull them
Okay,
up
let me see if I
faster.
can do that then. Okay. Sure. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, come on. Share the right screen. There we go. It's still, is it showing it now?
Yes, sir. I
Oh, it
see
is.
section 611 electric vehicle
Okay.
charging stations.
All right, just to walk, is it large enough for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. So this was the code change proposal. I'm sorry, let me go up to the top. F86.24. So this was the original code change proposal that the Fire Code Action Committee put through. And it gives a height. It doesn't give a distance or anything like that. And the committee came back with, hey, we really don't need the fire extinguishers in there. So their committee action was, hey, let's get rid of the fire extinguisher requirement. Then we had some individual consideration. It to a couple comments that are going to be brought up at the next hearings here in a couple weeks. And it included this comment here, which was, if you see, that's what my proposal is right now, is taking this comment and putting in. And the reason for that, again, is just, it's correlated already with 625.43 of the 2026 NSE draft.
Do you know what's in the NFPA 70?
Yeah, I have that for us. Let me pull that up here. If I can't remember if they rewrote it in here or not. Let me grab that really quick here so I don't give away any I don't want to give away any secrets here, so let me unshare for a second.
And one of the things, well, Ken looks at it is, NFPA 70 is not readily available for people. So even if we say NFPA 70, could we include language from NFPA 70 for reference in parentheses, which we have done in some code sections?
Yeah,
it is available read only.
Yeah,
I agree. Making it accessible and available right there is ideal.
Let's give me this. Just trying to log on to the NFPA link here. It's always fun to do this during a public meeting. Hold on. Oh man, this is fun. Yeah, I don't have it immediately here now. It's because it's not pulling up in the right location. So let me just search another way. Just hold on a second. All right. Yeah, I'm just not, I can't pull it up fast enough for us.
That's
So I
fine,
guess,
but let me ask you another question on that. Typically, when we have shutdowns, a common concern after the fact comes up is vandalism. Can somebody, hit the shutdown button and create problems?
absolutely no different than they could right now at a regular motor vehicle gas station that they could push a button and shut it down.
And does it permit a break glass type of one, which kind of prevents it?
That's why I need to find that language.
Okay.
Now this, Ken, this is for in the home. Is that correct, or is
No,
this for
no,
everywhere?
this is the commercial, like level 3 type charging scenarios. So let me let's do this. I'm not the next proposal, am I? Let Lance work on number 10 if you don't mind, while I try to navigate the NFPA 70
Sure.
language, if
No
there's
problem.
time.
Let me just make a couple notes.
Also, can I chime in on one thing?
Yeah, Carson, go ahead.
Because I actually had like something that was talking about break glass covers to address the vandalism concern, but that was mainly in the context of a fire alarm. But like, could similar language be used for these stop buttons with break glass covers as well? This in a different proposal, I had language on break glass for like fire alarms.
Oh, anything could be proposed. So
And I think, Carson, rather than proposing it, as long as it does not inhibit it, the industry can figure out how to do it. And if you write too many regulations, it makes it actually more complicated.
Well, yeah, I was just saying like because like someone brought up the idea of a break glass and was just
Right. I suggested it, and I said, does it preclude it? If it doesn't preclude it, then the industry will figure it out. That's kind of my I come from the industry side and the design side. So this comes up in our discussions with clients trying to design something. And I said, what if somebody just goes and shuts down all my cars and everybody's there coming in the morning and or later on and not have anything charged up? Is that a problem? So.
All right, so while we wait on Ken to do that one, we're going to table number 9 until we kind of wrap up with number 10. Dave Cocot's the drafter of this particular proposal, but Lance, you said that you were familiar with this and will be able to maybe give us a quick tour and introduce this proposal.
Yeah, this came out of a project here we had in Spokane.
So as far as this one goes, this one has got to do with each stairway shaft needing a separate fan system, and I believe is to integrate some redundancy and not have a 1-point failure for the entire building.
That is correct. Dave just wanted to try to mirror what we already use in elevators, right? If you have 2 separate elevator shafts, they'll have their own separate pressurization fans for that. We had a building happen here in Spokane, and they ended up wanting, of course, to save some money and use one fan to pressurize both emergency escape stairways. And as we discussed it here in town, just as you noted, Dustin, that's a single point of failure, right? If something happens and instead of losing just one pressurized stair shaft, you end up losing them both if that one single fan system goes down.
Gotcha. Before I call on you, Patrick, and then Ricky, I just want to read the comments that Dave provided when he let
I
me
was
know.
just gonna suggest turning on screen share so we can see
Ah.
the proposal again.
That would be most appropriate. Thank you for calling me out on it, because that's my
why I have my hand up. Yeah.
Okay, then say it now. And before we move on, I was going to read the comments by Dave Cocott. It says this proposal was prepared to address a design and operational issue for smoke control systems. These systems are intended to be used to remove smoke from smoke-proof enclosures, interior exit stairs and ramps, for example. This system is intended to provide a safe/tenable passageway for egress from the building, as well as entry by first responders. Having designed several of these systems, it never occurred to me that a single fan would be used to provide smoke pressurization for more than one smoke-proof enclosure. Failure of one component of the smoke control for more than one smoke-proof enclosure results in the loss of protection for more than one pathway. Unfortunately, section 909.20 does not include any language that would require separate systems. This is not consistent with section 909.21.4.3 that does require separate systems for each elevator hoistway. The commentary for that section states that having one fan per hoistway provides a redundancy and increases the likelihood that fans will be operational during a fire. That same logic should also apply to smoke-proof enclosures, which are the primary exit pathways from a building. The proposed language would require separate systems for smoke-proof enclosures. And Justin Carvalho was called out as maybe having additional commentary on this one. I don't see.
Yeah, I didn't see Justin here today. He's our fire protection engineer in training.
Gotcha. All right. Well, with that one, I'll open it up for further commentary. And as always, if I'm not sharing screen, just let me know. I'll take it in stride. David Mao.
I think the section that there should be is 909.20.5.4. It was 6 in the 2021 code. It's section 5 now in the 2024 code.
Okay. 909.20.6.4. Let's take a quick peek at a document and we'll verify. Open. 909.20. $20.5. So I guess I'm not seeing, and so is this section additive to the existing code language? So we'd be creating I don't see a 909.20.6 or 909.20.5.4.
I guess I'm not sure how Dave labeled that, if he wanted that to just follow after 5.3 or to go to 20.6.
I think your comment though that it kind of belongs in 5.4 would be good. Maybe we should entertain a motion to put this back to Dave to verify that we're looking at the correct section numbering.
I can make that motion.
Okay. Lance.
And he'll be in the office tomorrow. I can confirm with him tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
That's Ricky.
Yep.
Okay, so the motion that we have on the table is to refer this proposal back to the drafter to confirm the correct numbering of the section. Is there any discussion we'd like to have before we hear a vote on that? All right, seeing no hands. All those in favor of referring this back to the drafter for a little bit of work on the numbering, please say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition to that motion? All righty, so that one will go back. Staff will reach out to Dave. I'm sure Lance, you'll let him know as well, but we'll send out an official email to him to let him know to do a little bit of work. And then we'll bring this one back at a future meeting to be determined.
Yep, no problem.
All right, going back to agenda item number 9, 24 GP1046. Ken, did you have success finding what you need?
Yeah, let's not. I would suggest we just, look at going on either to another item or look at, because we only have 10 minutes left, right?
A little bit less than that, 8 minutes. So let's look at what we have next. After 10, we have a Ken Brulette proposal for carbon monoxide detection. Do you think we could rank
No.
that one in the
Yeah,
time?
everything I have left is long and
So then, in the interest of just kind of keeping it orderly, I would propose that we entertain a motion to table agenda item number 10 and everything after agenda item number 11, and maybe talk about agenda item number 17 real quick before we close down.
can we table number 9 also then?
That's what I meant. Sorry.
Okay.
So 9, and so 9's coming back already. So we're tabling number 9 and 11 through 16 till next meeting to discuss number 17.
Well, we already discussed 14 though, right? And 12.
Oh, correct as well. So 12 and 14 won't be included in that motion. So 9, 11, 13, 15, and 16.
So moved.
Okay, so
Second.
table numbers 9, 11, 13, 15, and 16.
Can you push out 16 for a couple weeks? I'm out of town next week. That's my proposal.
Yes, I can.
Unless Ken wants to, he's familiar with it too, so it's up to him.
Well, I guess I don't see any other proposals that appear to be related to it, and I don't necessarily see an issue with pushing it out for a little bit. What would be the time period you're available back for that one?
I'm just gone next week, or next week. I'm back after that.
Okay. All right, so we'll move 16 to not next week's, but the week after. And we'll include 9, 11, 13, and 15 on next week, plus what we kind of have planned for that. Any further discussion on that before we finalize that motion? All right, hearing none, the motion on the table is to table agenda items 9, 11, 13, 15, and 16. 16 will be tabled for 2 weeks instead of the 1 week as the rest of them. All those in favor of tabling those items, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Is there any opposition to that motion? All righty, that would bring us to agenda item number 17. Let's pull up a quick calendar. I just wanted to talk about the time we have left in the current plan. So next month on the 8th is the committee meeting where we're trying to have all this work done. And we currently have work scheduled all the way into the week before that, so the 29th of November, which we may or may not have good numbers for due to Thanksgiving being the week prior, and the week prior to that having an issue as well. So
Actually, we scheduled through the 5th of November. We have a one on 5th as well.
I'm sorry, I was looking at November and the end of October and thinking the end of October was Thanksgiving holiday. My bad. So, but yeah, we have meetings scheduled through the 5th. So it would be the hope to be done with all the proposals by the 8th so the committee can hear them. And then the week after the 8th, we have a council meeting to consider these proposals. At least that is the intent right now. So in order to complete all that work, we have quite a bit there. Does this group are we shy about potentially holding 3-hour meetings with a kind of dedicated break in the middle?
Yeah, break is good, but 3 hours is fine.
Okay. Does anybody else have issues with the 3-hour meeting starting? I'd like to start at 1 and kind of wrap by 4, so we have a little bit of time at the end of the day for other business. Quinn, you have your hand up?
Yeah, so I'll try to make some of those meetings, but on the 22nd and 29th, I'll be down at Long Beach at the ICC hearing.
Okay.
So I'll try to get out of the conference to attend the meeting, but I'm supposed to testify on a couple items, so just a heads up.
Gotcha. All right. Any other issues with extending the meeting time a little bit just to try to make sure we get to the finish line on time?
Does it have to be done by 4? Can we go from 2 to 5?
I'm okay going 2 to 5.
It just leaves better part of the day available for other stuff rather than break it up is the advantage for me.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Does anybody have any objection to going 2 to 5?
I don't.
Okay, then could we have a motion real quick just to schedule future meetings from 2 to 5? And that will bring us to the end of today's or I guess it'll be the end of agenda item number 17.
So moved.
That was
Seconded.
Lance.
Walker.
And was that Walker?
Yes.
Meetings. All right, any discussion on that one? Seeing no hands, all those in favor of having the 3-hour meetings until November 5th, please say aye.
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 Is there any opposition? All righty. And then agenda item number 18, any other business? I don't have any for you guys. And seeing no hands coming up, we'll call agenda item number 18 concluded, and that brings us to the end, which is adjourn. I'll hereby declare this tag meeting of over and adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank you guys for the work today. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And expect some follow-up emails here soon about next week's agenda, and we're continuing.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Everyone.